Ladies and gentlemen, dignitaries on the dais, friends, everyone, it gives me a great pleasure to be here. It's a great honor, frankly, to be part of this uh, Charotar University's 10th convocation ceremony. What I see in front of me is land of Sardar Patel, a man, a leader who enjoys the highest respect in my heart and mind. It gives me goosebumps, frankly, to address all of you. And thank you, Provost Dr. Pankaj Joshi, for inviting me. I know Dr. Pankaj Joshi as a scientist at TIFR. And then later on, I would say, his work on collapsing star, black holes and stars and whatnot, which is equivalent to getting a Nobel Prize. And he's one of the rare Gujarati who was in this subject or this area. So always intrigued about Dr. Joshi, what is his mindset that drives him towards that. And then I realized that he also is very keen to promote scientific mindset in the country. That is also one of my passion to inject as far as possible scientific mindset in India. And I use NASCOM platform, TIE as a platform, which are all technology driven. So indirectly, we try to touch every life in the country and hopefully expose them to that mindset change coming in from technology world to the old, I would say, the existing dogma, tradition driven, I shouldn't, tradition is the wrong word, but dogma driven Indian atmosphere. So when he called me, and I recently when he did a great job on bringing deep spirituality within science. Again, that again was very impressive to me. And so when he called, I just couldn't say no to him. So thank you, Dr. Joshi, again. Friends, we are seeing huge sufferings around us. We also saw recently USA, the greatest democracy under attack. And we also saw Elon Musk becoming the richest man. He added $150 billion in last 1 year, which is, we can say 60% of Gujarat's GDP. So this is where the technology is driving the, I would say, the changes in business models and which impacts the wealth creation eventually. And to me, again, thanks to COVID, number of good things have also happened. The first one is digitalization. Each one of us is now exposed to digital technologies. Uh, our children, grandchildren happily go to online school. Even this event, we can see both physically and virtually if possible. But this goes to a very different level now in terms of digitalization as a attitude that is coming in. And we see our industry growing significantly with that change. Today, you must have seen the TCS results, outstanding results again. And TCS has become the largest market cap company in the world. So that shows the potential of digitalization to our industry. The, the next silver lining of COVID to us is again, which is coming from the vaccine development side. Logically, we all assume that it will take 4 years for a vaccine to be developed. Suddenly, we see the vaccine available, developed with safety in almost a year. How did this happen? One of the key reasons behind this is the, the bigness of the problem, the urgency of the problem. All the key, I would say, ecosystem players, regulators, researchers, manufacturers, they all came together and started thinking in parallel. The question is, why can't you start, for example, manufacturing after the first successful trial? And the multinationals started partnering with young scientists, like Pfizer did with scientists in Germany, and then reduce the development time. So all put together, today in 1 year, we have 3 vaccines ready, and more would come very soon also. And this is now logically being extended, same parallel thinking, where they're creating a lab where most of the, let's say, would be ready. vaccine ready, you can call it, for each virus that has been identified. And the whole target is that if the next pandemic strikes, within 4 months, they should be ready to deliver manufactured vaccine to the marketplace. So that's the kind of mindset change of parallel thinking has now come in, and especially with the government and the regulators and policy makers, I believe that will be a huge opportunity for all of us to leverage it. And I would say unapologetically, we should uh, take on and bring in the changes we want in a society. Today, if you look at our government processes, they all require re-engineering to be done. And you can reduce the processes dramatically by using technology as a base. So the citizen services can improve many, many fold and would be accessible to every Indian in the country. So that is the kind of potential we see now in available to us in front of us. Take our industry, for example, now. Just to give you some idea, some statistics. We are today at $180 billion. We were $50 billion 30 years back. Even at that time, when we approached the government, we talked about $1 billion vision. The bureaucrats were laughing at us, saying, how many zeros are in a billion, do you know? So we started from there. But we were not deterred by these kind of comments. Even like things like, say, piracy, for example. As an industry, we realized that India and China, in terms of piracy, were spoken in the same breath by our potential customers. So how do you change that? Now in India, copyright, we believe is the right to copy. So we have to change that mindset. So we approached the government. Now one bureaucrat had the audacity to tell us that Britishers have looted us, so many Shahs have looted us. This is our time to pirate software and loot them. That was the mindset existed. Then he says, Mahabharata and Ramayana are given free. Our sadhus give their knowledge free. So why should we pay for the intellectual property developed by the Western world, especially in those days at least? So that was the mindset we were up against. But then we also had bureaucrats like Mr. Vittal who helped us coming up with a stringent Copyright Act, which was even stricter than UK. I'm going back to 91, 92. So there were few individuals from the government who were ready to step out and align with the industry. As an industry, we were very clear that we didn't want government to do micromanagement, not to come closer to us, but they must provide the umbrella support. And there were many individuals like him who supported us. Recently, just now I heard from some of the speakers the theme of Charosat, that believing in character, believing in India first. I'll tell you, these kind of values is music to my ears because we are trying to imbibe these values in the way the NASSCOM is working. I'll give some examples here. For example, collectively we decided very early in the game, we had more than about 100 regulations strangulating us. The rules of the physical world will apply to intangible software. But we all decided collectively we will not bribe anybody to get the regulations removed. And I would say that when we approached Mr. Vittal at that time, and we said we would like you to consult us before making any change in software, he said, only consult you, not accept your recommendation. So we said, yes, that's fine with us, because we were very confident, okay, when we go back to them with data, facts, and other white papers, they will accept our argument. So, and that is the strategy or technique we used. And sometimes we had to wait for 3 years for a particular change to happen. But that character build put all of us to work together as a solid team. When I look back, this character of no personal agenda, India first, probably has given our industry a compounding growth. We have grown from 50 million to $180 billion, partly because of that character. Because we could take right decisions at the right time, the way it required to be done. There was no vested interest driving it. And that made a huge difference in terms of how we look at the issue. Going forward, for example, to give some examples of no personal agenda, when we as an institute didn't have enough money, we need to raise funds. So Narayan Murthy came forward and he said, I will conduct a training program on AS400. Now AS400 was an IBM machine in those days, around which there were good export possibilities. And he said, I will conduct it for all my competitors also. And the contribution of that particular course, I would contribute to NASSCOM. So he had no personal agenda behind it, but he did it for the industry, for India. I can give another example of India First, for example, here. Uh, we had taken, PMO had taken a delegation to Russia, where they wanted IT industry to present opportunities in front of them, what we as industry can do for them. Now, Som Mittal, who was the president of NASSCOM at that time, normally he should have given the presentation, but he felt that Harsh Manglik, who was the president, chairman of Accenture India, who was also chairman of NASSCOM, he should be giving the presentation. When Harsh looked around, he saw N. Chandra, the current chairman of Tata Sons, CEO of the largest Indian IT company, also present. So he said he should be giving the presentation. So they approached N. Chandra. Okay, Chandra, would you present? He said, of course, I'm speaking on behalf of India. But then they said, there are 4 case studies of your competitor also. Would you speak about your competitor's case study? Again, without blinking, he said, of course I will. I'm speaking on behalf of India. So that's the spirit that which we built, you can say as a India First. So whenever we had to make a major decision, this spirit helped us dramatically. To give them very early example for it, that there was a time when we had an option of focusing on hardware plus software industry. We had an option of software product as a industry, and we had an option of software services as an industry. Now the collective wisdom of all of us say we should be focused on software services. Now software services is considered low end, cyber police work, techno police work, and so on and so forth. But we believe that that's where the opportunity is. We believe that software product, we are not ready. It will be another 15 years before we would be ready to be in software business, product business. Hardware we have to import, and then how do you build an industry around it? We are not very clear. So to us, software services was the right business strategy. We were, Kanwal Rekhis of the world from the Silicon Valley, they used to make fun of us, saying you're getting paid for your sweat, not for your brain. So anyway, so that kind of thought was there. But we, after 20 years, same Kanwal Rekhi came back and said, you guys were right. Now you built a critical mass of, today we have 4.3 million engineers. You can say high disposable income engineers working in the country. And each engineer today employs 6 to 8 non-engineering staff by way of, let's say, residential complexes coming up or retail malls coming up, the support staff they have, buying cars, buying white goods and whatnot. All this is added roughly to 30 to 35 million families are directly or indirectly supported by our industry, which is 10% of India's population. And not only 10%, it is also 10% of GDP from 30 years back to 10% today. And again, I give full credit to character of no personal agenda, India first, consensus driven, single voice, conflict resolution process that we have built in, all that helped together to drive it forward. How much time we have? Sorry, let me know how much time I have. Okay. Now this culminated to when I was visiting Silicon Valley about 10 years back to attend a conference, and my taxi driver was a Sardarji, middle class you can call it, and he's asked me, where are you coming from? I said, Mumbai. What do you do? I said, I'm from software industry. Suddenly he said, Aapne hame ijjat dilai hai. So I'm scratching my head. What did we have done to give an ijjat or a pride to taxi driver? So I asked him, what do you mean by ijjat? He said, now any American who travels my taxi, he thinks I'm a part-time PhD student doing taxi driving. So that's how India brand change, our industry contributed to creating or bringing that pride back to Indians. Now, looking at the next, say, 10 to 15 years, we are extremely bullish. One is, of course, the digitalization. Second is all the current new advanced technologies, artificial intelligence, blockchain, 3D printing, virtual reality, you name it, data analytics, and so on and so forth. They're all substantially software driven. And India has a unique strength with 4 million engineers in software. And we believe that that will allow us to solve complex problems with this parallel mindset again coming in here to take any tough social problem and maybe do it very quickly. What would have taken us 5 years to solve a problem may now happen in 2 and 3 years. We see that kind of potential industry contributing. So we have, as an industry, we have decided two areas to focus on. One is uh, employability, and second is employment. On the employability side, we have looked at all these technologies, shortlisted 10 technologies. We also shortlisted 10 soft skills that are required, and we have launched a massive, what we call future skills initiative, where we are retraining, reskilling our existing 2 million employees from 4 million, and the rest would be available to the outside world. Even now, the government of India, MeitY, has decided to partner with us, and they want to see this technology reaches every student, every government employee, every corporate employee. They really want to make India a talent nation of the world. Talent will be the major differentiator going forward for India. So that is on the, and that digitalization opens opportunities around globally for us. And similarly, on the employment side, we want to promote entrepreneurship. We would like to see we create the ecosystem where million techno innovation driven entrepreneurs come up in the country. And the reason is very such simple that if you look at USA, from semiconductor wave to hardware, computer hardware wave, to software wave, to internet wave, to now artificial intelligence wave. After each wave, for example, gave birth to the next wave, like semiconductor gave birth to computer hardware gave birth to computer software. Now, it is the startup entrepreneurs who took this software, for example, each of these wave, and came up with solutions and ended up over a time creating millions of jobs and trillions of dollars of wealth. We believe the same possibility exists for India now. We can create this million techno, I call it techno or innovation driven, but whichever category you want to define it, would help create millions of jobs in the industries. Probably we don't even can imagine today what these industries are going to be. But we are extremely bullish about the future of our country going forward. Now, I cannot complete my speech or presentation, whatever you want to call it, without referring to Devang when I'm speaking to audience in Gujarat. Now, I don't know how many of you know Gujarat, Devang, but if IT industry changed India, and if NASSCOM was responsible for bringing the IT industry to that particular scale, Devang was the sutradhar in early days to run NASSCOM and to bring in this change. To give you some parameters about his personality, for a particular policy change, he would address, go and meet all 15 political parties in India. He literally wrote every state's IT policy. I mean, he was an unusual person, unusual personality, did, I would say, brilliant work for the industry. And do you know how old was he when he passed away? Or let's say, when he joined NASSCOM? He was 29. So to all young fellowship graduates here, you can see at the age of 29, Devang joined NASSCOM and literally changed the fortunes of 1.3 billion people. We have an exciting time ahead of us. I wish I was as young as you and joined that because I can see lots of opportunities for growth. I would be happy to trade my place with you. I know it's an uncertain world out there, but it also is full of opportunities. So with these few words, I would like to end my speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Just for the additional information, Harish Mehta sir was referring to Mr. Devang Mehta, whose native was in Umret in Charotar region, and Devang Mehta brought about IT revolution in whole India. Now when India is IT hub, it is just because of that single man's missionary spirit. I will not take much time. I will like to invite our President sir for the address. Please.